Mm.
Pressing go live. Hi, this is James O'Keefe, and I'm captain of the Massachusetts Pirate Party. And today I'm joined by Quartermaster Joe.
Ahoy.
And First Officer Steve.
Good evening.
And as always, Malt.
I have a turtle on my finger.
But are there turtles all the way down?
There can be.
So we've got some interesting things, some interesting stuff dropped today. We'll get to that in a moment. But in terms of local stuff, we're planning a tech/democracy meeting, scheduling that for this month. What else is going on in pirate news? We did work. We're continuing work on our platforms, and we'll have a new plank out probably tomorrow.
Yep, and we always welcome any discussion on that. So.
In terms of national news, they've been having their weekly meetings at 9 p.m. Eastern every Sunday, and at the moment 2 a month are live streamed. So you can catch those over at the U.S. Pirate Party YouTube channel. And their IT meetings are weekly on Thursdays at 9. They have outreach meetings on Tuesdays at 9. And Joe, when are their platform meetings?
Platform meetings are generally held at 9 p.m. on Monday, Eastern Standard Time.
Great.
And we always welcome any dialogue that anyone would have to contribute. In fact, some of the new topics that we're talking about, like abortion and one's right to choose, which was actually brought up by people who just jumped in and wanted us to start talking about it, so we did. So any contributions are always appreciated.
So speaking of right to choose, so the Catholic Church has apparently been not too pleased at some bills that are going before the legislature. Do you want to cover that, Joe?
Oh, yes, I do. So one of the big things that Massachusetts lawmakers are considering is legalizing medical assistance in dying. So, and with our stance on individual autonomy, which I personally fully support my ability to choose what's right for my life, because I don't want anyone else choosing for me. So I could totally understand somebody who is just in incredible suffering and it's not ever going to get better to want to end it, So I very much support this bill in the very essence that it is.
Yeah, I mean, with dignity, they've been doing it. They've had that in Washington State and in Oregon, and it's not like they have a large number of people who are clamoring for medically assisted euthanasia, and nor do they. I know one of the concerns I've heard from even some leftists is, well, we're concerned that medical people are going to be like, oh, you're too expensive, so we're going to kill you off, and that hasn't happened either.
And it's worth noting that the bill as it's been proposed in Massachusetts is not it's not creating a situation that people can be easily pushed into. You need to jump through hoops. You have to have 2 doctors confirm that you have a terminal illness with around 6 months left until you die naturally. You have to be deemed of sound mind, and you have to make the request at least twice with time in between. So it's not like a one and a done type deal. It's something that has to be proactively sought.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I heard on the news was that the Catholic Church, because of course they have an opposition to suicide and potentially, from their vantage point, your immortal soul could be in purgatory or wherever, and so that's their perspective, and that they're concerned about, should there be an afterlife, that people would go to the wrong place, but not everyone is a Catholic, so I don't really understand why Catholics get to tell us how to live or not live our lives.
Or even being somebody of that persuasion myself, having been raised that way, I'd still not want anyone else to be able to tell me how to live my life. I don't care who's you. Don't care who you are. Like, you don't get to choose for me. If it's going to be something where the pain gets so intense that I'm not going to be of sound mind and sound body as that those days become close, in order to preserve who I am to those who love me, I don't want them to go through that as I slowly wither on the vine, from a personal perspective, So
it's also frustrating to see the Catholic Church oppose this, and the reason they oppose this is they want hospice and palliative care to be made more accessible. A really great way to make healthcare accessible is to have a single payer program, which the Catholic Church is still opposing. So, come on, guys, get off the fence. Yeah.
Speaking of fences, some data leaked from behind fences of the elite money laundering schemes. That is the not the Paradise Papers. That was a few years ago. The Pandora Papers leaked recently. Does anyone want to give us a rundown of what happened with those?
Yeah, I can. So what the Pandora Papers are is a huge leak into all the offshore accounts that a lot of different bankers and trustees were around the globe were basically leaking all of the information for what all these politicians and all these bankers were doing behind closed doors. And I think one of them I was reading, it was the guy from the Czech Republic actually putting millions of dollars in an offshore deal in order to buy like a Riviera. Just all sorts of like different things that you would expect politicians to not be doing, and they're totally doing.
So you say a lot. Specifically, we're talking about over 120 politicians, including Queen Elizabeth II and major members and donors to the Donald Trump presidential administration. It exposes tax structures used by over 100 multinational corporations, including Apple, Nike, and the fuckers that make Botox.
Well, why do people have to be so greedy and shit? I mean, shouldn't it be just enough to be, wealthy?
I don't think people are greedy. I think capitalists are, but I don't think people are greedy.
Well, I'm not talking about people in general, but I mean, more like the crowd we're talking about. Although I do have to say, one of the, this is sort of related, but since you mentioned Queen Elizabeth, the Guardian did a couple of articles, months ago about, I guess they call it royal something or other, basically where the Queen is asked to give her consent to certain policies, and basically she did not concede to ones that would have might have had an adverse impact on the royal family. But oh well.
What? It's just such a ridiculous holdover. Like, I don't know why England thinks they get to laugh at anybody, especially post-Brexit.
So, for those of you who don't know, this is quite the trove. It's 2.94 terabytes of data from with offshore secrets and wealthy elites from over 200 countries. There's 330 politicians in it, 130 Forbes billionaires, celebrities, as they say, fraudsters, drug dealers, royal family members, and leaders of religious groups around the world. The last one, I think, is going to be extremely interesting to see. It'd be see if there's some religious leaders that are either friends of the U.S. or opponents that have secret offshore bank accounts somewhere.
I'm really curious if the Boy Scouts have something secret. Like, they're talking about declaring bankruptcy in order to minimize the payouts to their sex abuse victims, which is wow.
So
Well,
my real question,
to be honest,
is: Are any of these people being persecuted? I mean, I wonder what's the follow up to this. What's the next steps that should be happening? You know, should we be getting out the lynch mob with the hanging?
So apparently, last February, Lithuania recovered $45 million connected to a conspiracy run by Vladimir Romanov. So that's going to get reclaimed. There was the U.S. had a crackdown on shell companies with passing the Corporate Transparency Act back in 2019. But not really.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that always amazes me, and we've been seeing it since well before Reagan, is the rich are paying such high taxes. If they just paid lower taxes, then they wouldn't need to go hide it somewhere. And it's literally the rich want to pay no taxes. And not only do they want to pay no taxes, they want the government to be giving them money. And they're just going to go and hide it wherever. And so literally anyone who wants to make it easier for them should perhaps be walking the plank as far as I'm concerned. But clearly government needs to spend some money to go after these folks. They're not paying their fair share anyways. Just look at Bezos.
Yeah,
Yet they're going after Julian Assange, you know. Like the one person being like, yo, that's not right.
So, some folks just feel too self-entitled. That's the problem.
You don't get to be a billionaire without feeling self-entitled.
I mean, y'all know I am not a fan of comic book movies, but if we could do the Thanos snap on people whose net worth is exclusively above 500 million, I'd be okay with that.
One thing I personally find interesting, and Joe mentioned it before, is that the current Czech Prime Minister, Mr. Babis, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, he's been styling himself a man of the people, going after, some of these very same deals that he just moved $22 million in order to, through offshore companies, to buy a lavish estate on the French Riviera. So I'm really hoping, although there were recent elections in the Czech Republic in 2021, I'm hoping certainly that this comes back to haunt him and helps the Czech pirates, who are number 3 in the parliament.
Yeah, those guys are badass.
I heard they are doing really, really good over there. How many offices do they have now?
In the current Czech parliament, they have 28 seats of 200. The leading party, Mr. Babis's party, is 78 seats. And the second party, which is The Civic Democratic Party is 42 seats this go round. And then there's at least there are at least three other parties in the parliament as well, which is just, amazing here, where you basically, Massachusetts, you basically have 85% Democrats and, maybe 90% in some elections, and like the rest Republicans, or maybe an independent here or there. It's nice to see a country where they actually have kind of diversity in their parliament or their legislature.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely fantastic. Going back, this isn't the first time that massive documents have been leaked, right? I mean, you're starting to touch upon the Panama Papers and the what was it, the Paradise Papers?
Yeah, so this is done by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, ICIJ.org. They have an investigations page that we'll link to, but they did the FinCEN papers, they did China cables about surveillance against Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities in Xinjiang. They did stuff, but they first burst onto the scene with the Paradise Papers, which was one of the most prestigious offshore law firms. A lot of that stuff got leaked. And even still, that was leaked back in 2017. Some of the articles that are coming out, because of it, G7 finance ministers finally are agreeing to a 15% minimum tax to crack down on corporate tax dodging. And even Nike, they recently failed to stop an EU probe on billions in alleged tax dodging. So, there's these things sometimes are a slow burn, but it's important to get this information out so that people can follow up on them and make sure corporations and the rich are operating, taking into account as to what they're doing.
So yeah, with all this stuff going on, obviously this is something that we want to hold the corporations to account and make those who are making these decisions absolutely held accountable. Those who are benefiting, absolutely held accountable. I think that's one of the biggest things from the Pirate Party that we got going on, right? In order to make the corporations stop being so amazingly greedy. At least in the way I took it. At least the way I want to form our policy. So one of the big things I want to see come out of all of this is to simply make corporations something that people are held to account. Dissolve that corporate veil, if you will.
Well, we're always in support of transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is that.
So on that note, is there anything else that we want our viewers to know about? Any other things people have seen?
Don't tidy up your garden. Leave the plants over winter so that the bugs can live inside them. Thanks for doing your part to protect ecology.
That, and with it getting starting to get cold out there again, if you can start sending stuff down to the food pantry, if you have any donations or any old goods that you can get rid of, there are families that are going to start to really need that sort of stuff. And one of the things I actually just saw in a recent report is that Christmas this year is going to be extra brutal for all those who enjoy the nice and wonderful ancient gift-giving holidays of our ye old European pagans. So you might want to start your Christmas shopping extra early, because finding anything to give to all your loved ones is going to be extra difficult.
Yeah,
Thank you, economy.
I have heard that there's been a lot of supply chain disruptions, especially out in China. Apparently, there's an energy ration in effect that's really going to hit Xinjiang and the other heavy manufacturers hard. So, yeah, the Tickle Me Elmo might have to wait another year.
Or your PlayStation 5. You ain't gonna get it.
You know,
or at least try and get it now, and hopefully by Xmas you'll be able to get it.
Katamari still plays on the PlayStation 2, and I don't think we needed any more games after that.
We need Battletoads.
Bicycles.
We need Battletoads.
We need bicycles. And they are also suffering from supply chain, or the supply of bicycles is also suffering from supply chain disruption.
Yeah, people are buying up high-end bicycles to use to mine cryptocurrencies.
It wouldn't surprise me at this point.
It's a good workout.
Hell with pirating electricity, I'm going to make my own.
But if there's something you want for Xmas, support your local businesses and get it through them, because you could order it online and you have no guarantee you'll actually get it. But if it's on the shelves, well, then you can get it. One thing I just want to bring up for those of you in the greater Boston area, Honk Festival is coming back. The 16th annual one will be next weekend, October 9th. They're diversifying it instead of having it all be over multiple days and focused on Davis Square, Somerville. There's going to be marches throughout and performances throughout the Boston area. You can find them at honkfest.org. And for those of you who are interested, Extinction Rebellion, Massachusetts is going to kick off, as part of Honk, is going to kick off a 2 p.m. march from Cambridge City Hall on October 9th to MIT. This is the Extinction Rebellion Youth Boston and Cambridge Band Land Brass Band. They're going to lead a festival to highlight the urgency of the climate crisis and demand government, schools, and businesses tell the truth and act now. But even though it's youth-oriented, all generations are welcome. So if that's something that you support, please come out, because it'll be a great time.
And I got one more for you folks. And this just opened up this weekend. The Topsfield Fair is back in town. So if you're looking for something fun to do, that's good, healthy fun where you can just make sure you bring extra money because it's expensive.
And for all events, mask up and social distance.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated.
And boosted.
Anything else, folks? Or should we
talk to the cops?
Everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of yes.
Should really link to the really good YouTube video on that from a lawyer and a cop who are like, yeah, don't talk to the cops.
There's also a really good series of YouTubes made by a cannabis law firm about Shut the Fuck Up Friday.
And every day is Friday.
Hell yeah, baby. I'll drink to that. Oh, this is very empty.
I want to shout out to William Dappin, who sent Howdy, Massachusetts to us. Thanks so much. We really appreciate your comments in the chat. And, we look for them. We do our best if you have any questions or you bring up issues to address them as this live stream is going on. So unless there's anything else, folks.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Click that bell. Check us out at masspirates.org. Sign up for our volunteer/supporter list. Give us a donation. We always love your doubloons. And as always, stay safe. Thanks for listening. Bye, folks.
Have a good night.
Idaho.